Turn it up.
I told you now.
Please.
You are worse than me.
Another year is ending. Sure, you didn't whine me.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Battle Box Podcast. I'm your host, Brodda Mike. Thank you guys for following and for just listening. Really appreciate your love and support. My last episode was about the missing iPhone and an Uber. A couple of people reached out to me, so I wanted to do a quick shout out to you for getting in touch. First person that got in touch with us was Samson. So Mr. Samson, thank you so much for reaching out. I still haven't got the phone, but I appreciate your advice about how to go to the Uber office here in Lagos and just see if they can help me. So thank you for that. I also heard from Mrs. Veronica writing from Kaduna. So thank you so much for writing in. I really appreciate that. If you guys want to support the show, you can always send us an email at info@battlebox.com. Some people did reach out and ask about, well, there's no way to comment because really it's just, for the most part, podcast, there's no YouTube. We're not uploading onto our YouTube page yet, but we do have a YouTube page where you can listen to some of our episodes, the Battle Box Podcast. We also have the main Battle Box channel where we do videos as well. So yeah, just shout out to you guys. Thank you all for writing in. We appreciate that. But yet the phone is to be found. Yes, the phone is yet to be found. So we'll keep you guys posted as that comes up, and hopefully, I'm still hoping that we can find the phone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to the last episode. Topic of the episode was about a tale of two thieves when a Nigerian police thief meets an Uber thief or something like that. So check it out, listen to it. I think you learn one or two things from it. Today, I want to talk about something a bit more somber, and this is just regarding the food and hunger situation in Nigeria. So I came here for a wedding. The wedding, which was this past weekend, I noticed there was people begging and stuff. So I mean, that's expected, really. Every time you throw a big one big party in Lagos, you're going to have people show up that were not invited, aka wedding crashers. I think wedding crashers is actually more honorable because they dress fine and they look nice and they get mistaken for someone who's a guest, whether the bride or the groom or a friend of the bride or friend of the groom. Yeah, so wedding crashers are kind of more honorable because at least they look the parts and you may not even recognize them when you see them. But these guys are just people who look unkempt and they just invade the wedding, invade the event just to eat. So it's kind of a thing now where people would know that, people expect it. And to me, I was just kind of shocked by that because, again, growing up in Nigeria, I didn't see a lot of that where people just show up at the wedding and just want to eat. Not in Lagos, at least. So that was something that I just paid attention to, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So people are really that hungry. Then it happened again to me when I was at Computer Village, just outside. I was eating, ordering bukka, one of those bukkas as usual. And then after I finished eating, I noticed that as I was dropping my plate, there was somebody asking to pick up my plate for me to finish my food. So I bought food and I ate and I was full. And normally you just get up and have the waiter or the waitress or the canteen or whoever come clean up for you. You can even drop the food out on your way out. But this is three guys, all three of them beckoning to grab my plate to eat from the leftover that I had eaten. So I find that quite a little bit sad because I'm like, Omoshe Nigeria don't reach this level where we say people they're hungry like that, so that they're just able to want to get my plate and eat from my plate. So I didn't kind of make something of it because I was like, okay, well, busy day, so much going on, just kept it moving. Then it happened again. If you guys know the airport, there's this part of the airport where you have all these food places where you can eat, a lot of bukkas and canteens all lined up. So I go there and I order some food because I have time, and I'm eating, and after eating, same thing happened. A guy came up and just took my plate and again cleaned my plate up. So remember, it happened before, earlier at the Kedge, and it happened again. Then I now try to connect the dots with the wedding too. So I just was like, oh crap, this is really bad. This is what's going on in Nigeria now. So I called the guy and I told him to sit down. I just went ahead and ordered him a meal. It wasn't that expensive. So it's just that people don't have money and people are very hungry. So I used to think this is something that you will meet or find in northern Nigeria. It used to be very common in northern Nigeria. way back when. And these are all these guys from Benin or from Benin Republic or from Cotonou or Togo. So we never really thought this was Nigerians, because we were like, okay, they're traveling, northerners, food scarcity, food shortage. I can get that because in the north. But here in the southwest, like, we're having that becoming very common now, where there are people that are out there begging for food to eat. Again, nothing against the beggar, and you can say, well, who's this 1% guy talking about this? I guess what I'm trying to highlight is just the shock with me being in Nigeria and just seeing this again. I don't think I used to see that before, where people will just be targeting your plate so that whatever is left on it, they will come and clean your plate for you. Now, there are a lot of ramifications for that. Number one, there are diseases that could be involved. When somebody eats, the hygiene of the person eating, you don't know what's going on with them, and then you are taking their food and eating their food like hungrily because there's no food to eat. So, and that reminds me of what I've been saying online about food insecurity. There are about 26.5 million Nigerians projected to be food insecure by 2024. About, say, 8% of the population who are going to be without food. And that's something that is a bit concerning. It's food shortage. It's a food crisis. People are really, really hungry. They don't even have food to eat. So what does the government do about it? And what are people doing about this? This does not include the children. There are about 9 million children that are suffering acute malnutrition. And they are not fed properly, they are not eating well, and a lot of this is because of the rising cost of both food and essential non-food commodities, because of the devaluation of the naira. Then also look at the fuel subsidy that was discontinued. There's consistent violence in the northeastern part of Nigeria, which is where most of this food come from. You're looking at places like Borno, Adamawa, Yobe. Those are areas where food is actually heavily produced in all of Nigeria. You have armed banditry, you had kidnappings in northwest and north central states. Places like Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna, Benue, and Niger. Good soil. They have really good soil. They make a lot of food that feeds the rest of Nigeria. But when you have these things plaguing them, where there's bandits and insecurity and armed robbery, bad roads, just a lot of things affecting production of food. So food becomes more expensive, and that leads to inflation. Because food is expensive, people don't have enough to eat. And those that were marginal, when you say marginal, when I say marginal, I mean those that were kind of at the edge of society, at the edge of poverty, they are falling straight into poverty. So what does this mean to you listening? What can you do? I think what you could do is to maybe have family back home, be more reasonable and considerate, be more sensitive, and be aware that Nigeria has one of the highest in terms of food insecurity in Africa. That's the data from Data Bank, which is owned by the World Bank, a part of the World Bank. So again, I don't want to kind of ramble on and on, but for me, I just wanted to drop this real quick because I was shocked to see what I'm seeing. I'm a bit concerned, and it's just something that hits me different because I've not really seen that before in Nigeria. So are we like a third world country right now? Which you can say we are a developing country, but we're not like one of those countries now that are super, super poor, because we have a lot of billionaires in the country. We have a lot of millionaires doing very well, and the tech industry is booming, the banking sector is booming, the oil and gas sector is booming. I mean, if you go to Nigeria is not one of those countries that are super poor, because we have good roads, we have infrastructure, we have security, there's safety to an extent. Things are working, you would imagine. So why are people not being fed? Why is there food crisis? Why are people not eating? So you might say, well, there's hoarding. Wealthy people have been buying and hoarding in warehouses. That's something I saw online earlier. A lot of rich people, they are hoarding. Those states that are producing, like those Benue, Adamawa, Yola, those states, I think there was one of those governors, northeastern governors, saying they won't send food over to the other parts of the country. Because they don't have enough food, quite honestly. The production is down. Nigeria also has a gross insufficient domestic agricultural production. We rely a lot on imported food. It's crazy the amount of imported food that we buy. We don't even at this point make food natural foods that we have that we make, where we stop producing that. The roads are bad. There's no subsidies. I know during the government of Basanjo, it tried to revitalize some of that, but nobody wants to stay in the village or work in the village anyway either, because of things like security and safety. So the other thing which is madly kind of correlated is the Russian war in Ukraine. Ukraine is a big place where we get a lot of grains, wheat, so, but because of that war, that's again affected the little bit things that you otherwise have seen in places like Nigeria. And the elephant in the room is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's decision to end currency controls and the fuel subsidy. That has definitely led to higher living costs, and essentially that times 3 price of fuel, the price of petrol. So according to the International Monetary Foundation and the World Bank, but as of March of this year, 2024, about 8% of Nigerians are considered food insecure. And the Red Cross have reported about 25 million of Nigerians don't have enough food to eat. So food is a big deal. And there's a shortage of food in Nigeria. And that's what I see in the streets. The hunger crisis is expected to worsen rather over time as we continue. I don't want to make it a political rant, but our currency is spiraling out of control. There's food insecurity. And you look back and say, what have we done? Like, how did we get here? The leadership, what are they doing? What's government doing? Does government even care about the guy on the streets that is begging for food? Not to get started on beggars. There are a lot of beggars everywhere. I don't know if I'll say beggars are worse or less, because it depends where you go. But the one that is just shocking me is I'm eating in the kitchen and people are like fighting for my plate. And talking to the lady, she was saying, yeah, that's common now these days, that they just try and work with them to help them and give them scrap food. So what kind of Nigeria is this? Just something that is shocking and very, very sad. That's all I have to drop. Please feel free to share this with someone you think might find value if you're enjoying these episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Pray for Nigeria. Pray that things get better. My name is Brodda Mike, and I am signing out. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Bata bata, bata bata, bata, box.